We're excited to play Missouri State. Last time Arkansas was relevant was when Coach Petrino was here, and we're very grateful for his time here and what he did for the program. You know, we've used that in recruiting, and without him and his staff, we wouldn't have been able to do that. So it'll be exciting for him, I'm sure, to come back here. But they've got a good team, ranked 7th in their in the FCS or FBS. And which one is it? FCS. I don't even know what we are, but they're ranked 7th and have a good team and went to playoffs last year. So almost beat Oklahoma State last year, beginning of the year, and Oklahoma State beat Notre Dame in the Fiesta Bowl. So we know that we have to be ready for a fine team that's coming in here.
Coach, after watching the film, is there any specific players or things stand out about the South Carolina game?
Well, I think the number one thing is our penalties. You know, we've got to figure out how to get those cleaned up. I mean, most of those, if not all, the penalties on defense happened on 3rd down, and they were all 5 for 15. You know, 75 yards, and I mean, it just can't happen. And we've got to really emphasize it. We've got good coaches; they'll help with that, and we've got to get it fixed because it's going to come back and bite us if we don't. I felt like, obviously, I was asked after the game about Drew Sanders' play, and I thought he had a good game. I didn't know he had a hell of a game. I thought he had a really good game, but he did some things that were pretty incredible. I thought we played well in special teams. You know, the problem there is minus the 2 penalties. You know, we have a live kick, and we get penalties. So we've got to become a more disciplined team. The offensive line played real well. I thought controlled the ball game, and that was kind of what I saw.
Sometimes with when you're playing an FCS team, it's kind of viewed as a cupcake, whatever, but you've got a really good team, as you mentioned, Missouri State and Bobby Petrino. Does that make it a little bit easier to get the guys' attention? Like, hey, this is a really good team we're playing?
Probably. You know, I really haven't thought of it that way. Probably. These weeks are about trying to get better, trying to find, see who can help us win ball games. So they're just really these kind of weeks. Like last week, we kind of took the approach we have to get better ourselves, and we certainly have enough things to work on that we have to get better before we worry about who we're playing. So I think we've got a team that I've been proud of our team ever since we've been here, with them putting the game before away and playing the next game. So I feel pretty confident we'll get them focused. They'll be focused and ready to play.
Sam, Missouri State, people probably think of them more as a basketball school. They were pretty down when Bobby went there, and he got them in the playoffs the last 2 years. Looks like they're going to be in the playoffs again. What have you thought about the job Bobby's done there building that program up?
Well, I mean, he's a great coach. I mean, he was when he was here and went to the Falcons and Louisville. And I mean, they tried several different people, before him. And he's been able to go in there and get them back to the playoffs, or get them to the playoffs. And he's just a really good coach. You got a good staff, and went into transfer portal and got a lot of players there. And I'm sure that they went there because of his reputation as a coach. And so it's been really a great job that he's done there, and I'm sure we'll continue to do.
Running game, I know some of that's just line and the offensive line just dominating, but you getting the running game, getting the ball to the receivers in different ways. I think Malik Hornsby was in the backfield. What do you thought about the running game and maybe all the different variations that Kendall's done? And how key has that been to your all success these first 2 games?
Well, I think Kendall's I think he's called 2 really good games. I thought he had South Carolina a little bit on edge with some of the things he was doing, some of the plays we were running, the personnel that he was using. I think they've had great game plans over there on offense, and we're using, Malik carried the ball a couple times, and we have three backs. Hopefully we can get Dominique Johnson back this week. Again, that's kind of be up to him. He's cleared, so be kind of up to him. But our offensive line is playing well. That includes Trey Knox and Nathan Bax, in there. Our wideouts are blocking well on the outside. So, but Kendall's really using the personnel that we have with the short throw games almost as a run, if you will, and really done a nice job. Really calling good games.
Coach Wilmo Claire, Picture Elevation. Arkansas 6 sacks last week. I don't know if you know this, but you're averaging the 3rd most sacks of any team in college football right now. How do you see that impacting games going forward, and how much of an impact has it had so far?
Well, it's had a big impact on, we have to get to the quarterback where our secondary is continuing getting better, but we've got to improve there. We've had a couple of injuries that hurt us last week. But we have to get pressure on the quarterback. That's what we kind of went out to do, along with trying to get our own kids that we had on campus better, but trying to go out in the portal and find somebody who could rush the passer. Ironically, Drew Sanders is one of those guys, that we can put up on the edge and rush him along with some of the other new guys. But it's helped us. I mean, the other thing too, we're not playing as much a 3-man front, as we did. We're not really the same defense that we were a year ago with the pressures and the man coverage and things of that nature. So we're allowing ourselves a little bit more chances, a little more men to go after the quarterback, and it seemed to be working for us.
Coach, after reviewing the tape and everything, what did you think about Kari Johnson's play? And with Slusher, I believe you said you expect him back. With him coming back, does he slide back into nickel, or do you maybe look at, since you shuffled up so much stuff?
I think we're going to kind of be a rotating position. In other words, if you can play boundary safety, you can probably play nickel and probably need to. So those would be those 2 positions for Kyrie. Day-Day's injured right now, and so that's another one that we will not have on Saturday. But I think where we're at right now, we've got to multitask with those guys, and I'd like to see Keywan Parker get some action at corner. I think he's earned it. I think he's done a nice job at practice, and he's a really good cover guy. And hopefully we'll get Slush back, and then that'll allow us to kind of, Chavis is going to have to play corner and safety, which he played safety this week, or past week. But we're going to need some of those guys to be able to play a couple of positions.
Just for clarification, you said Kari is going to play nickel and boundary?
Well, I don't know. I mean, he's going to play safety. He's going to play middle safety and possibly boundary safety. He might go to nickel as well, too. It just depends on how the week kind of goes out.
Slush back at nickel?
That's a good one, man. I don't know. He's going to have to play both, but I don't know. I don't know where we would put him to start with. I think, to be honest with you, I think Jaden Johnson is better suited to nickel, and then that would put Slush back to safety, but I don't know.
And Christopher Paul, after his play, you ready to clear him for more action? It seemed like he was, I know on Pro Football Focus, he graded out super high.
Well, that's awesome. I'll have to look at those one of these days. I haven't yet. I'm 60. But let's say I did. I think I agree with them. I think he played really well. He got more reps this week than he did the previous week. He's a good player, physical guy, and knows what he's doing better now than what he ever has. He's playing mistake-free football. So I don't know when he gets a lot of his reps is when we're in that 3 linebacker look when Drew's on the field as a rush, jack, buck, whatever you want to call him. And we're getting a little more comfortable with that set because of the play of Pooh. So certainly could happen.
Ask you about Jaden Hazelwood last week. I think when he talked to us Tuesday, he said that he's having fun playing again. Are you seeing kind of that joy from him? He played with a little bit of fire on Saturday too. Are you seeing kind of that joy come back?
I think, I think he's having a good time. He's a physical kid. He's a man. I mean, he's a mature kid. Not afraid to say his opinion, which helps the football team. Not afraid to lead. Brings a lot of confidence to the offensive football team. I mean, he just does. He brings a lot of confidence. He's never down. I like everything about him. I think he's tough and physical, good player. But I hope he's having fun because I'm having fun because he's on the team.
Number 10 in the AP poll. Just what does that mean for this program at this point, and how important is it for you guys to celebrate that?
Well, I think it's a big deal. I do. Everybody always looks at the negative all the time, and I tweeted out that we were number 10, and then I got some responses. Well, it doesn't matter. Well, I ain't tweeting it out to you guys or a 50-year-old man. I'm trying to use it as recruiting, so I really don't care what the guy says. You know what I mean? I'm trying to recruit, not him or them. I recruit. And so we're proud of it. Sure, we're proud of it. And that doesn't mean that that's where we want to stay, or it's hard to be in the top 10. We've done it 2 years in a row. The kids have done it, and the coaches, the assistant coaches have done it. Yeah, I'm proud of it. Sure am. Whenever it came out, I was smiling ear to ear. Now, what that means right now, it means that we're number 10 today, and I tweeted it out. I'm proud of it.
Trey Knox was banged up after the game. Is his ankle fine? Is he going to be fine for this weekend?
I think we got to watch him. I think he'll be fine this weekend. I think we really have to watch him. Now, how we do it, if there's potential for him to practice that day. In other words, if Dave hadn't said he's out, we take him into Indy and we let the coaches kind of see where they're at physically. That is also encouraging them to practice. They're already suited out. They're already out there. They're in Indy. But it's also a good way to find out where they really are injury-wise. And so we're going to do that with him today. There was another one too, had an ankle that we're kind of doing the same. Who? Yeah, Brainy. Same thing with Brainy. I think Brainy's probably a little healthier than Trey.
Hey, Coach, Rocket leads the SEC up here. Rocket leads the SEC in rushing through the first 2 games. Just what have you seen as the improvements in his game early on this season?
Well, I think the line's playing pretty good, and I think that helps him. He's making decisions faster. A running back is he got to find the right hole in there, and he's finding it faster. He's attacking the line of scrimmage better than he did last year. Certainly running through arm tackles is something that he's doing really well, but I think he's just playing with a lot of confidence, good player, big back. But in a nutshell, he's seeing holes better than what he did a year ago.
Talk about Dominique working to get back. How do you go about, I guess, finding the right balance between feeding the hot hand in Rocket while also getting carries for the other talented backs in your room?
I don't know. I guess we had to kind of wait and see when he gets back. It's a really good question, you know, because you end up having a guy like Dominique that might have been the best back we had last year. He might have been two, you know, regardless, he was one of the top two backs we had last year. You know, you have to watch it because, you know, guys are practicing, you're not, you know, you got to get back in the flow of things. So I don't know that we would upset the apple cart a whole bunch when he comes back early in the first time he comes back, because it's not broke right now. At the same time, we've got a really fine football player that we'd like to get on the field. So once he becomes confident, I think I'll be able to answer that question a little bit better.
Hey, Coach, Meredith Mulkey, 4029 News. I just wanted to ask your thoughts on the dynamic between Bumper Pool and Drew Sanders and just what they bring to the defense, and if you see any resemblance between them and the duo you had in Grant Morgan and Hayden Henry.
Man. I think Bump and Drew are close. I think they're good friends. I think they've earned each other's respect. I think there's two total different personalities there. Hayden and Grant, probably Hayden was more of an extreme, you know, away from that. Hayden was just a slobber knocker, you know, all he wanted to do is just hit people. Boy, I like that kid though, man, it was a good player he was. And then, you know, Grant was, you know, Mr. Everything, you know, best talker, best coach we had. I mean, best talker, best leader, you know, he was something really special there as well. So there's really not a huge similarity between those two duos. This group here plays really well together, plays really complementary football. They're both really good players. Drew Sanders is a really, really good player.
Drew was going berserk in the first quarter. I looked down at the stats. He had 6 tackles before anybody else had more than one.
Yeah.
Do you think South Carolina started to kind of recognize him a little more? And do you think that's going to happen maybe moving forward where teams maybe try to go away from him? Or
Well, you know, the thing is with them both being, you know, with him being in a box, it's really hard to run away from him. I mean, I guess you could check and he'd have to run another 2 yards, you know, 2.5 yards. I could see they knew we were putting him up on the line of scrimmage, doing some things there differently. The thing he has, he's got range and he can really run. I mean, he's really fast. I don't know. I don't know if South Carolina changed anything of that or not. You know, the game was dictating a little bit how they were calling their offense because we had gotten up by 18 or whatever it was. And so I really don't know, Trey, but I know people are going to know where he is, you know, where he's lined up.
aside from Bobby Petrino's time at Arkansas, have you ever crossed paths with him at all or met him or anything?
I don't believe so. And I don't want to say no, because if he was asked the same question, he said yes. You know, I don't believe so. But certainly know what a wonderful coach he is. I do know that.
There's some cleaned up from week 1 to week 2. What's your focus cleaning up wise to week 3?
Penalties. I mean, we had 10 of them. I mean, if you're looking at the game Saturday, we had 10 penalties. I mean, that number should be anywhere from 2 to 6. They're going to call a couple holdings. They're going to, you know, this, I get it, but not 10. And that's on me. I mean, I've evidently let that go at practice. I didn't think I had, but evidently I have. And I promise you it's an emphasis, but it was last week too. And we didn't, you know, because I think we had 7 the first game, and that's disappointing. I'm disappointed myself on that one. We've got to get it cleaned up.
Along those same lines, the 3 of the illegal hands to the face, you mentioned that kind of surprised you. Going back and looking at it, was there just a technique thing or what?
I just rode up. I mean, they just kept riding. And, you know, on one, the South Carolina O lineman had he was grabbing Landon Jackson's face mask, you know, so he had his face mask and he had, you know, so it was dueling face mask or whatever. But it would be one thing if you had one kid with three of them or 1, 2, and there was 3 different guys. So obviously we're not getting close enough to them. They were all what I call long arms. So they were all long arms. And basically you've got your arm in there and you can't get 2 in there, and it rides. Well, you can ride for a second. You can get up in there, take it off. You won't get called. It's just keep holding on. A lot of it is they were doing the same thing, not necessarily in the face. I'm not trying to get a fine or officiating. I'm good with that, but we got to get our hands out of there once that happened. We went back and looked at tape, and because I go back and look, I cannot remember, and we weren't doing that. So we're certainly emphasizing that.
And Stromberg was named the co-offensive lineman of the week for the
Yeah.
SEC. Is he playing through 2 games, kind of how you would expect a senior center to be
Yeah,
playing?
to be honest with you, and Ricky will tell you the same thing. I don't think he played his, some of his best ball against Cincinnati, and there's, reasons for that. The guys you're playing, all that kind of stuff too. But I thought he had one of his better games Saturday, and we challenged the offensive line that if they'd take over, we felt like they could take over the game, and certainly Kendall gave them opportunity to do that, and I felt like they basically controlled most of, if not all, the first half.
Sam, I know when you went back to play at Georgia and Missouri, you hadn't been the head coach there, but you had coached there, and Bobby's obviously coming back where he was head coach. From your perspective, what's that like going back and coaching against a place at that place that you coached?
Well, I think it's different, Bob, to be honest with you, if you go back and know the staff and the people on the staff. I think it's a little bit different with me going back and knowing Kirby. There's different emotions because you want to win, this your friend, he helped you, become a head coach, although you know what I mean. And where Coach and I don't know each other. I mean, you'd have to ask him, but I would think there'd be a little bit of a difference just because you're not going back to a university where you actually know guys on staff. Now, Coach, I'm sure knows a lot of people still here, all y'all, maybe a lot of you, not you, probably, you're probably too young, but you're not. And so he should know you.
Andrew Parker starting at Appalachian State, and they had a huge win at A&M, and he tweeted about it. And just wondering how I'm not saying you guys stay in touch, but just wondering how you feel about one of your former players.
Yeah, good for him. Yeah, good for him. I'm good for App State for those kids. And I'm gonna catch heck for saying that from A&M. I wasn't rooting for App State, but good for him. I hope he played well. I haven't looked at the game yet, but good for him.
2 tackles, but I didn't watch. And I ask one more. I don't know if you and Barry Odom have had a chance to talk about this yet, but what do you think about the intricacies? Because Bobby's known as an offensive guru and all that. What do you think about his offensive skills and play calling and scheming and all that?
Yeah, I think he's fantastic. I mean, really good coach. Schematically, he knows what he wants to do. He's got a quarterback that's good. He's got a running back. I like the running back a lot. He's got 2 wideouts more, but he's got a wideout. It's a really good player. Uses them well, a lot of different sets, different formations. Can run the quarterback. Will throw it when he, a bunch when he needs to. They're a physical football team. I tell you one thing, he knows the personnel he has because he uses the best ones on his team. And a lot of times that doesn't happen. I mean, a lot of times you got a guy and he can't touch the ball 3 times, He knows he's got a good running back, good quarterbacks, and a good wideout, a lot of good wideouts, but 19 is really good. And so they use him.
On Saturday, Brini came in here after the game and said when he first got to campus, it was a little bit rocky for him personally. I'm just curious how you've seen him settle in since that point. And I guess, grown to the point where, he's able to take over a role with Cat out?
I think if you've never been, because Brainy didn't have an OV, so if you've never been to Arkansas or basically anywhere, and you go in there, it may or may not be what you thought it was going to be. And I think that's where it was here. I think part of that was we had better players and maybe what he thought we did. You know what I mean? There's a lot of different factors. We were further away from home for him, all kinds of different things. But yeah, I mean, he said it. He didn't really get going. He wasn't swift in getting going when he first got here, but he's a mature kid, a great kid, and I'm glad that he finally has gotten comfortable.
Sam, I know when you're stopping a run like you guys did on defense the other day, something's got to give, but it seemed like the middle of the field was open a lot for Rattler and their receivers. Was there, what do you think was going on?
They were
with
running
that?
some vert routes, 4 verts on us, and it was open. And we've got to drive on the ball better. We got to be in position, in the safety position. We can't be too deep. If there's no threats in our area, we got to break on the ball. We just, we have to play better back there in a lot of places, but you're absolutely right. We had problems with the middle of the field, and whether it be 2 in the middle of the field or 1, and we've got to fix that, which certainly I think we will.
Thanks, Coach.